Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Estics Side Quest. I'm Estics, of course, and it's nice to be back. It's been a few days since I did one of these. We had a couple of bumps in the road, but we're going to skip past those and try to move on with our lives. Today we're looking at the Dalek Emperor. Oh, scary. I'm not a big fan of Doctor Who. I have seen a little bit of Doctor Who, but I'm not a huge fan. But I am a big fan of these guys. I've been, it's Dalek, I guess, is what they call it in the show. But these guys don't like PhDs. I don't like going to the doctors. So say goodbye to checkups and doctors forever, okay? These guys are wanting them out of here. This guy is a solid Rakdos commander, and he sits tall for a 6'6", and he is also 5 colorless, a red, and a black. So when his ability is triggering, it'll trigger during your combat steps. So that means that you want to get extra combat steps. Usually you want to do a little bit of extra jank and kind of double up on your abilities. So anything that'll double up on your abilities will always make your commander stronger. So having 2 to 3 different combat steps will constantly be making your commander's ability pop off. So what is this ability, you might be asking? At the beginning of your combat step, each opponent faces a villainous choice. That player sacrifices a creature they control, or you create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with menace. Okay, so we have some keywords here. Dalek sacrifices, that player sacrifices, and menace. So you are basically creating a 3/3 Dalek with menace. So that's important because this creature has affinity for Daleks. So every time you have a Dalek out, 1 Dalek equals 1 mana. So you don't have to wait around for so many cards to come in your hand so that you can have some ramps, some stones, and all that. So, you actually want to instead just be trying to summon some creatures like Daleks. Also, Daleks that you control have haste, so that's great and all, but there's something wrong with this. There's not a lot of Daleks. I was only able to find a very few amount of Daleks, and they're all in this deck. For these colors, of course. I mean, there's more Daleks out there without these colors or with an extra color, but with these 2 colors, these are the Daleks you want to run with them, but they are still solid. Okay, let's go into the pros of this deck. You got tokens of removal. You will be whittling down your opponent with black and red ramp, and the cons is it's kind of slow, but there's some ways of getting around it, so let's hop into it. So the first tactic I want to get into is the battle tactics, also known as the combat doublers. So we have a commander that focuses on your battle phases and takes advantage of them. So cards like a key battle squad. This card actually cost only like 60 cents. Not too terrible. Whenever this card activates, whenever a creature you attack that is modified. So modified is either an equipment, an aura, counters. These are the things that make them modified. So a lot of the times, a lot of your extra stuff throughout here will have this extra ability. But whenever you attack, untap all creatures after this combat phase, and there's an extra additional combat phase. It only triggers once per turn, so you can't keep attacking every single time. It's just not how it works. It's good stuff, but I usually only get 2 sort of deals out of it. You get an extra combat step, so whenever you modify the creature, which we will be doing throughout the deck, you'll get an extra combat step, and you'll be able to hit them twice, and 60 cents. Not bad. Now, for the next card, Bloodthirster from Warhammer. Bloodthirster is a beast. Whenever he deals combat damage, untap it, and there's an additional combat phase after this one. Yikes. He's pretty good. So if you let's say you're playing in a pod, this only, he can't attack a player that he already attacked this turn. So if you're playing in a pod and you have 4 people, that's 4 attack steps per turn, which means all of your opponents will either have to sacrifice a creature, which can, if you're not playing against tokens, which not a lot of people play tokens all the time. A lot of people have like a token deck, and then they have a couple of other decks that run off of something else because people like to expand their horizons. But if you have people who are just like playing like main character cards, basically cards that they want to keep their key components, whenever this guy attacks them, you have to sacrifice one of your creatures. So you can do that up to 4 times in a 4-person pod. Get a lot of either get a lot of tokens out of it, or you get to sacrifice a lot of creatures that your opponent has out of it. So it's not too terrible. The next one is Relentless Assault. Relentless Assault is $5.51. Untap all creatures that attack this turn. After this main phase, there's an additional combat phase followed by an additional main phase. Okay, this is insane, but it's a sorcery too. So it's kind of slow, but after you attack, you play this, you untap everything, and then you get an additional phase followed by an additional main phase. You get, again, another one of the doublers, get more stuff out of it, and just keep bullying your opponent. Another one we have here is Combat Celebrant. Combat Celebrant is a 3 mana with 1 red, and if he hasn't exerted this turn, which is he attacks when he exerts, you get to untap all creatures and have an additional phase after this combat phase. So basically, if you have this card out and then you play Relentless Assault and then you play Bloodthirster, you hit him, you do it again. You hit him, you do it again. So basically, you get all of these out. They all give you extra combat steps, and you have this, and let's say you attack with this, okay? You attack with Bloodthirster after this, so you can attack again, and then you can have, that's already 2 combat steps, and then you get to hit the Relentless Assault. You get an additional combat step and a main phase. That means you get to attack again for another opponent if you're running in 4s, and then again and again. So you get to attack 4 times, and then you get, so that's 6 attack phases. After that, you're looking at serious lethal damage on everybody. So at this point in the game, you're looking dangerous. Hexplate Wallbreaker. Hexplate Wallbreaker is actually super solid. It is only like 90 cents, I believe, for Morden, which means when it comes in, you get to attach it to a creature token. You get +2/+2, which is already good because since you're attacking anyway, you want to have a little bit of boost for your attack. Whenever it does attack, if it's the first combat stage, you may untap each creature that is attacking, and after this phase, there's another combat phase. So that's a good way to just get out a couple of combat phases, just simply. I know it's 5 mana, but really for 5 mana, you're already getting out the other ones pretty solid. So at this point of the game, you already have a board state. You're just additionally taking down your opponent. The next thing I want to talk about is the ability that you want to focus on getting off, and that's the Extermination. Not the ability, but like that's what you want to do. You want to play things like Murder, destroy a creature. Dalek Drones are really solid. He actually does have the Exterminate ability. When Dalek Drone enters the battlefield, destroy target creature an opponent controls, and then that opponent loses 3 life. So that's pretty good. And it says Flying and Menace. It's a 5 mana card, which is that's a lot, but I mean you get a lot of stuff out of it when it gets out. You're playing black, so you'll have some stuff to return it back to the battlefield, and you're also playing red, so you can copy it with a good old-fashioned Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker. I know it's a $20 card, but I have one. Maybe you have one. This is a really scary one. Phyrexian Obliterator. Whenever a source deals damage to Phyrexian Obliterator, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. So when you want to be attacking with this guy, you want to be attacking with your boost again. So you want to boost whatever you got. This is probably what you want to be boosting and attacking with, if not the Dalek Emperor, because he is very strong and scary. But he is more of a sit back, let the ability go off as much as you can so that you can get stuff out of it. This is the guy that's going to clean up their board without you doing anything. And he's a serious threat. Like, you seriously don't want to run into this guy. I've ran into this guy plenty of times. He makes me sick to my stomach. Actually, a newer card, Genesis of the Daleks. On its first, second, and third counter for the saga is create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with Menace. Each lore counter on this card. So every time you create, if it's at 1, you create 1. If it's at 2, you create 2. If it's at 3, you create 3. So at the end of it, you have 6 good old-fashioned Dalek tokens attacking with Menace and maybe Haste if you have your commander out. But this is the problem. When it gets to 5, you get to, your opponent gets to choose a decision. Destroy all Dalek creatures, and each opponent loses life equal to their power. Oh, yikes. That's a lot, because if you have your commander out, that's at least 6. If they drop this and they hit all 6 of those guys, that's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and as many tokens as you're going to get out and as many times as you're going to attack and create more Dalek tokens and sacrifice their creatures, they're just not going to be able to get away from you. This is a I'm going to hunt you down and kill you deck. This is not a I'm going to hang out and wait for you to do something. This is okay, I have built an army, and now you are going to face the consequences of your actions. So this is a really good one. Then the second part is it can destroy all non-Dalek creatures, which is so bad. That is so bad. Not for you, but that is bad for your opponent, because if they're not running Dalek, all of their creatures are gone and you already have 6 Daleks. So another card I want to talk about is Kindred Dominance. Kindred Dominance is a very strong, very expensive card. You may choose a creature type and destroy all creatures that aren't of that chosen type. So this is actually ran in Slivers a lot, which is why I know about it, because I really like Slivers. But Daleks are actually kind of cool too. I mean, I didn't think I was going to like this guy so much until I started doing my research, but this is crazy. You choose Daleks, drop it, kill him. So this one is kind of a backhand for you and your opponent. This is Deadly Tempest. Whenever you play this sorcery, it destroys all creatures, and each player loses life equal to the number of creatures they controlled that were destroyed this way. Let's say that you are playing against a white-green token generator deck, and you cannot kill tokens as fast as they're coming out. Of course, you can always look and destroy their main creatures or whatever, but let's say that's not happening. They're getting ahead of you. Drop this. This is like, you can rebuild. Your commander is a bomb in a box. He will, like, as soon as he comes out, he's either doing one thing or the other as soon as you hit your combat step. So this is really strong. Another good way to get rid of a lot of token cards is actually Languish. Languish is such a good card. So simple. All creatures get -4 until the end of turn. That is a great way to get rid of tokens. This is to make sure, like, people who are running beast tokens and stuff like that, who are more like inclined to attack you with bigger armies, this is to make sure that they don't get out of control before you get out of control. So you want to get out of control before they do. Now we're going to ramp. So this is Rakdos. Whenever considering this deck, I wanted to think about artifacts and tokens and other tokens that I could use that share kind of like the same type. And, you know, something that seemed to stand out again amongst all of the other tokens is treasures. Treasures go absolutely crazy, especially with Rakdos value. Something that I like playing personally with Rakdos value, especially with treasures. Also, remember that Daleks are also artifact creature tokens. That is important for this next part. Oniko Anvil, and he is just straight up Rakdos, just a red-black. Whenever one or more artifacts you control leave the battlefield during your turn, create a 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature token. This ability triggers once per turn, and then you can tap it and sacrifice an artifact, and it deals 1 damage to an opponent, and you gain 1 life. So this is not like game changing. This isn't gonna change the game as soon as you put it down. This is to make sure the game stays in your favor. So whenever you're getting out treasures and you're sacrificing them to get stuff out of them, like you're paying them to get a creature out or anything like that, you sacrifice it and you get an Oniko Anvil out, you're getting a 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature token, and you're also getting a damage if you want to sacrifice, which some people do. Something that is in this deck that I think that you should be playing with this is Dragonspark Reactor. Dragonspark Reactor is such a good card. It's a lot of people say that's kind of a bad min-max, but if you look at it, it can get out of control. I mean, artifacts are so easy. You're playing an artifact creature token card, so you're constantly going to either get out something or constantly be trying to get out something, and you're going to be attacking, which is what these next ones are going to do, but they're going to give you more tokens, which is going to give you more damage on this. And speaking of tokens, Zorn creates a crazy amount of treasure tokens. If you create one, you create one and an additional one. So it's not like you're creating double the amount. That's kind of annoying, but you get an extra additional one. So all of your little mini ones are now making 2 though. So that is actually kind of a trade-off. So if it's not doubling, it would be fine, but since you're doing little things, it's getting you more and more treasure tokens. And who's gonna cry about extra mana? Another ramp card that I think you should be using is also it is actually from this set too, Doctor Who. It's RMS Titanic. It is a vehicle, and when it deals combat damage, you can sacrifice it, and you create that mini treasure tokens. So it has 7 attack, and it has 1 defense. So if you attack it, and you hit it with that 7, or if you do modified stuff like Beantown Beatstick, you can get around any of that, and you can have maybe 8 treasure tokens. And now that you're playing Rakdos, you can get stuff back to your hand as well. Another one that's really crazy, Descendant Dragon. Wow. It has expensive taste. Exile top 2 cards of your library face down, and then you may look at those cards and play them as long as they remain in exile. That's really good. That's really fun. But also, the Flying and Trample card, 4/4 Dragon, whenever it attacks, create a treasure token. That's even better. This is one of my favorite cards, especially in Rakdos, which I don't play Rakdos very much. Rakdos is actually just one of those things where I get my cheap thrills from. I like to jump in and get my cheap thrills, but this is, if I were to create a serious Rakdos deck, this card's going in it. Now, it's time for finish them off. Dragon Spark Reactor obviously is finishing them off. You can finish them off really easy with that. But something that you should be running is Mirkwood Bats. Whenever it enters the battlefield, your opponent loses 1 life. That is crazy because it's tokens. It also has flying, so that's cool too, but it's not really the most important part of this card. The most important part of this card is that every time you create or sacrifice, I forgot that part, or sacrifice, so you can get 2 damage off of creating and sacrificing a treasure, and you also get mana from that. So do not forget that you're also getting mana from that. That's one of the fastest ways to kill with this card is playing it with treasures. A company secret told by me. We also have Blood Artist. Whenever Blood Artist or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So you can be bullying people. You know, you play Genesis of Dalek, and then you force him to either kill all of his creatures and then he loses all of his life, or you sacrifice all of your creatures and then you do Dalek damage and then you hit him with all your life and then you get to heal. So like, it's such a stupid card, and you know, this is really strong with the sacrifice, and then you bring it back, and it's just a bomb in a box again. Veto. This guy has been climbing in price. Whenever you gain life, that opponent loses that much life. Ugh. You hooked this up with Blood Artist. You're looking pretty rough on that. Creatures you control gain life link until end of turn. You have got to watch out for this card. And now finally, another Dalek card that I really wanted to add, and I think this card is sick. Dalek Squadron. When he has Menace and he has Mirrored. Whenever this creature attacks each opponent other than the defending player, you may create a token that is a copy of a token that is tapped and attacking that a player or planeswalker they control. You know, you hook this up with, you know, the Mirkwood Bats, and then you hook this up with Blood Artist or anything like that, that is getting stuff out of sacrificing and killing your creatures. You know, you get more stuff. And then plus, these are, you know, you hit this with the Dalek Squadron, you hit it, you create tokens out of that. Those tokens become even scarier because now you have more Daleks that you're also running around. So mostly like anything that is charging up your Daleks is also going to become a threat, and this is going to give you expansive token pool. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. In the future, I'll be making a video over a couple of the commanders I really like. These have been really more of like the newer commanders that I wanted to talk about before anyone else got their grubby little hands on them. I will be doing that still, but now I'll be focusing on commanders that I like as to creatures that I think are just kind of important. And also, if you had $1 million, who would you play in Magic the Gathering? Bye-bye. So another way to get rid of a lot of stupid bastard ass... okay.